There are lots of people in the world that have made a lot of money, but not that many that have actually made it to the billionaire status just yet. Can you imagine having that kind of money? What would you buy with all that cash? Let's see. What does a billionaire spend their money on? How much do you have to spend? Even billionaires have budgets, at least they do if they'd prefer to stay billionaires. They could, of course, just spend massive amounts of money and they won't feel it. But if they kept doing that, even their massive fortunes would run out eventually. It's been calculated that the average billionaire could afford to spend $80 million a year. Not a bad budget if you ask me. I can't really imagine someone needing to spend more money a year than that. It's been said that Jeff Bezos, who has a net worth of around $200.6 billion, could spend $88,000 and it would have the same effect as an average American spending $1. And that was when his net worth was around $156 billion, so now he could spend even more and he wouldn't even feel it. It must be really nice. So just what do they spend all that money on? On homes and mansions. One of the biggest things that billionaires like spending their money on is creating an incredible real estate portfolio. They can not only buy stunning homes that are like their own personal resorts, but they can also afford to buy such places all over the world. These mansions normally include sports fields or courts, like tennis courts or basketball courts. They have swimming pools and sprawling estates. Some even have their own malls in their basements. These billionaires can afford any place they want. Jay-Z and Beyonce, for example, have a massive real estate portfolio that spans right across America. They have homes in the Hamptons, in New Orleans, and in Bel Air. All these homes that they have are collectively worth about $116 million. Michael Bloomberg spends a lot of money on real estate and he reportedly has more than 15 homes across the world. He has homes in New York and in London. Homes close to ski resorts and in Bermuda. It looks like anywhere that Bloomberg wants to visit, he can go and stay in his own home. Impressive car collections. Another thing that billionaires like to spend their cash on is some super fancy luxury vehicles. Some prefer to build a vintage collection and others just want the most expensive cars they can get their hands on. Bill Gates, for example, has some incredible vintage vehicles in his collection, including a Porsche 959 and a Porsche 911. In fact, the latter was his first big purchase after making his fortune. Elon Musk also obviously has a great love of cars. Obviously, he is the founder of Tesla after all, and he owns a bunch of Tesla cars of his own. But he also has a bunch of other luxury and special cars in his collection. He has a Lotus Esprit submarine car that was used in the James Bond movie, and he also has a Ford Model T among other impressive vehicles. There are cars in the billionaire's personal collection that are worth millions that are seriously exclusive. Some are only as little as 5 cars were ever made. Yachts. Sailing around the world as a super yacht sounds pretty idyllic, but for most of us, the only way we could get close to a super yacht would be to do it below deck as a stew or a deckhand, or to just watch the show and never actually get there personally at all. But these billionaires have a lot more options available to them. Some billionaires travel on super yachts that they have chartered and can live on them for months, but others buy their own and keep their own crew full-time. The Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich, for example, owns the second largest yacht in the world and has not one but 2 helicopter pads and all the toys you can imagine. That yacht alone is worth a massive $1.9 billion. Holidays. The only thing better than living in style is going on luxury and exotic holidays. They have the budget to see all the most exclusive spots on Earth. They can do it in style. Going to private resorts that have every amenity known to man. They can get pampered for days. And if they don't already have their own private island on their estate portfolio, then they can easily afford to rent one for a few weeks of complete privacy. Security. Having so much money also means that you become a really big target. So having an incredible security system is essential to your safety. And these security systems aren't cheap. Not only do billionaires have to secure each house that they own, but they also have to secure each family member. They need to make sure that they are safe themselves, but they also need to make sure that their families are safe too. It can cost them a bundle. Nothing. Billionaires didn't get super rich from just spending all their money on every whim. That's why many of them are super frugal. Warren Buffett and Mark Zuckerberg are both known for spending as little money as possible. Some might even call them cheap. That's how they became billionaires in the first place, by saving as much as possible. So one way that some billionaires like to spend their money is by not spending it at all. Art pieces. Art pieces from really famous artists aren't only beautiful, but they're also really great investments. And the only thing that a billionaire likes more than making money is making money by spending money. They love to invest in art. It has even been reported that some billionaires buy extra homes just to have the space to keep their art collections. And a single piece can cost more than most of us make in our entire lifetime. Alice Walton, for example, has a massive art collection, and she doesn't mind really paying up for pieces she loves. Her most expensive piece of art is probably the Georgia O'Keeffe painting that she bought for $44.4 million. It became famous as the biggest price tag for a women's art piece that has ever been recorded, and that's far from the only piece in Walton's collection. She enjoys a number of different art styles and has bought pieces from many different artists, including Andy Warhol, among others. She has such a vast art collection that the collection is reportedly worth more than $500 million. But she doesn't just keep these pieces to herself. Rather, she opened up her own personal art museum called Crystal Bridges, where the public can come and enjoy the collection that she's built up. To me, that makes a lot more sense than one person owning all these treasures and then only they and their family and friends ever get to enjoy them, giving back to others. But billionaires don't just spend all their money on their own pleasure and enjoyment. Many of them spend their extreme wealth in trying to give back to others. They spend millions on trying to make the world a little bit better through personal foundations and other philanthropic causes. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has spent billions of the couple's personal wealth in helping causes including global health and development. The foundation also focuses on making the U.S. education system better. Some billionaires like to focus on causes close to their heart. Some, like the Zuckerberg couple, focus all of their money on finding cures for all of the world's diseases by a certain time period. Others focus more on giving money in a personal way. They give money to families and children who need it through their foundations. In areas where famine is high, these foundations help on a more person-to-person basis. Other billionaires like to give donations to a wide variety of causes instead of just focusing on one subject. Other purchases. There are a lot of different things that billionaires can spend their money on. Some love super expensive clothing, while others are just as comfortable in normal jeans and a t-shirt. Building a really fashionable wardrobe can be pretty expensive. Jewelry is another way that you can drop a lot of cash very quickly. Buying jewelry pieces can be really expensive, and this can be another way that billionaires like to invest their money. And then there are really weird and wonderful ways that you can spend their money, like buying flight tickets to outer space. It is a whim that only the richest of the rich can spend their money on, but it is a unique experience that these billionaires get to have. Massive businesses. Like I said, billionaires and other wealthy people like nothing more to spend their massive amounts of wealth to make even more money. So they spend their fortune in acquiring massive businesses that can make them even more money in the long run. Again, this depends widely on the specific billionaire and their personal interests and passions. There are some that buy their own personal media companies. For example, Jeff Bezos has bought the Washington Post in 2013. Another billionaire and his wife, Mark Benioff, and his wife also own Time magazine. Doesn't it just fill you with warm and fuzzy feelings that single people can own the media? Other billionaires prefer going into sports and they buy their own sports team. Sports can be a massive business and can make them loads of money. When Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys, he paid around $140 million for the team. Now they're worth around $4.8 billion. Billionaires can buy many things. What would you do with money like that? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.